NBA Funniest Moments 2023. Fans are reflecting on some of the funniest moments from the NBA season now that it has come to a conclusion. The last season was rather peculiar. We engaged in an innumerable number of altercations and brawls. The NBA has never had a season quite like this one, and it was easily one of the craziest as well. Let's not waste any more time, get down to business, and have a look at how our leading made this season an entertaining. Now, let's talk about the moment when Richard Jefferson started working as a referee. In addition to officiating the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game, he also officiated the Summer League. Now, after making his very first call ever, he was actually booed by the crowd. Perhaps this is why Giannis made fun of him by referring to him as a terrible referee, and said that he officiates games in the same manner as Mark Davis. Now, a normal NBA season just wouldn't be the same if there wasn't some wild stuff going on by Russell Westbrook. And he most definitely had a couple instances this year. The encounter that took place between Russell Westbrook and a trash-talking fan during the halftime of a playoff game between the Suns and Westbrook. During the previous season, is one of the most memorable moments from that season. Perhaps he was trying to intimidate you by flashing off his six-pack in this way. One of the most memorable and amusing celebrations from the past season was when Anthony Edwards stole the ball, put it in the basket, and yelled "cookies" in a very high-pitched voice.
Edwards lost it momentarily
When he made the basket. Do you remember when Michael Porter Jr., the black hole himself, posted Zach Collins and got into a brawl with him, choking him for a second before the two of them were separated? Things of this nature are almost always really perplexing because there are cameras virtually everywhere, which means that people are going to see it. Nevertheless, it's possible that they don't care and they'd rather simply pay the fine. Conor McGregor is not a basketball player. He is a UFC fighter. However, he is currently making his way back to fighting, and this truly shows during the incident that occurred between him and the Miami Heat mascot that went horribly wrong. During the halftime show, they staged a stunt in which Conor McGregor was supposed to punch a mascot. However, after knocking the mascot down with his first punch, Conor McGregor delivered a second blow that knocked him out and sent him to the hospital. It is very obvious from the second punch that the mascot was not prepared for what just had happened, and this was easily one of the most bizarre incidents that occurred throughout the season. I'm curious to whether Jokic or McGregor was more successful in beating the Heat. Draymond and Sabonis got into another physical dispute during the playoffs, and this time, Draymond tried to stomp as hard as he could on Sabonis' chest. There was some debate among fans on social media as to whether or not Sabonis deserved to win, but it can't be denied that Draymond contributed a little more force to that stomp. Another incident involving Grant Williams that will be enshrined in the NBA Unserious Hall of Fame is the one in which he told Donovan Mitchell that he was going to make both of the free throws that he was taking with the game tied.
A few moments later.
And this is exactly what happened. Even a single attempt at shooting was beyond his capabilities. The game was over for them after that. As is common knowledge, NBA officials are responsible for some of the most memorable moments in the league's annals. This occurred once more when Bill Kennedy had a Lion King moment with an innocent infant while the game was in progress. During this season, LeBron James undoubtedly had some memorable moments and memes. In particular, he threw a rage tantrum on the court after he thought he was fouled during the game against the Boston Celtics, but there was no foul call to be found when the buzzer sounded. Rudy Gilbert always seems to find a way to generate headlines, and this year he followed in Draymond Green's footsteps by doing something controversial. During a timeout, he struck out with a punch at his teammate Kyle Anderson. Even though this isn't quite as awful as when he spread COVID over the NBA, or cried because he wasn't selected for an all-star squad, it still managed to make the NBA fans chuckle, and be a little bit perplexed because this was just so insane. Now that the funniest season in history has come to an end, and the Denver Nuggets have finally won their first championship, everyone is aware that the NBA never stops providing memorable events. Similar to how Jokic struggles to decide what to do with the champagne bottle when he enters the locker room. You can see that he attempts to drink from it, sort of puts it down, takes a look at it, and then realizes he needs to grab and shake it, not doing the best job possible. Another amusing LeBron moment occurred when he sat next to a little fan who was overjoyed to be there with him. When the fan was interviewed, James pretended he couldn't hear anything even though he was physically sitting next to her. That scene is just lovable, where the camera zooms out and you can barely make out LeBron ignoring her while she continues to brag about him. Everything about it was hilarious. Jack Harlow is a rapper, but he also participated in celebrity basketball games. When he posted a hilarious Instagram story about Kyle Lowry, he was sitting courtside at an NBA game. If Harlow is spreading those rumors about Larry, then I suppose they have to be accurate. It is finally time for us to discuss Klay Thompson. He simply raises 4 fingers, one for each of his rings, whenever his team is defeated or he is involved in a confrontation with another person. Now, at first, this was quite humorous, but at this point, all it is kinda corny. LeBron passing Kareem on the all-time scoring list was an unforgettable event that occurred this season. If you know anything about LeBron and are on Twitter, you are aware that people frequently call him out for outright cap. It appears that he knew precisely which shot he was going to take in order to pass to Kareem, and he is just completely capping about it here. The moment when DeMar DeRozan's daughter won a game against the Toronto Raptors single-handedly is one of my all-time favorite sports moments. During the course of this match, she yelled encouragement for each and every free throw attempted by the Raptors, and as a direct result, they shot an impressive 18 for 36 from the foul line. Not every hilarious thing that happens during the course of the season takes place on an NBA floor or even in the United States. During the course of the NBA season, Dwight Howard gained headlines for his dominance in Taiwan. He even convinced other NBA players such as LeBron James, Ben Simmons, and Julius Randle to play overseas with him.
AD? You can play till 60 over here? You can play till 90 over here, bro.
Then, not even a month after that, his team in Taiwan requested that he accepts a salary reduction. Now that I think about it, Dwight has become far worse. It was amusing to watch as Grant Williams got into Jimmy Butler's face, which likely prevented the Celtics from advancing to the finals and caused Butler to lose his cool. Dillon Brooks, the NBA's villain for the 2023 season, must be mentioned while discussing some of the funniest occurrences in this season. Now let's review some of his non-playing accomplishments. First up is the argument Dillon Brooks got into with the NBA broadcaster Shannon Sharpe when he was watching the Lakers play from the courtside. An NBA analyst trying to battle a whole team was one of the season's most odd moments because nobody has ever seen anything like that before. It's possible that referees need to let their hair down every once in a while too, like James Williams did in the break between the first and second quarters. He then drove around the court on an ATV. This was really out of the ordinary. This season had a number of fantastic rivalries, but one that isn't discussed nearly enough is Giannis versus a ladder competition. Giannis was practicing his free throws as an NBA worker was setting up a ladder in front of the rim in order to fix the hoop. Giannis simply went over there and threw the ladder out of bounds while the worker was doing so. In all candor, what the heck is going on with this season? So guys, which of these incidents did you find the most hilarious? Let us know in the comments below.